somehow it has a huge impact on our behavior, even though we are not aware of that. Hi, I am Fabiola, and I was a PhD student in the cognitive psychology unit. My dissertation was about how nonverbal behavior and their mimicry help us cooperating and trust each other, and also how this can be expanded in interaction with artificial agents. So mimicry, we define it as an unconscious tendency to mimic the expressions and the behavior of other people. And you probably have all experienced that. Someone smile and you smile back, or someone yawns and suddenly you yawn too. This is not a coincidence, but this is what we call automatic mimicry. And what is even more remarkable is that we mimic even on a deeper level. So our pupil sides and our heart rate and other bodily signal can also synchronize together. And that we also called mimicry, but more autonomic mimicry. So mimicry is not a very known phenomenon, despite we all do it. What I feel is really important about it is that somehow it has a huge impact on our behavior, even though we are not aware of that. And so I feel for this reason, it's quite important to mention that most of the focus has been always on the nonverbal behavior, but this mimicry is still there, and it is important. And one more reason is that right now, I don't know if you are familiar with, but there are some artificial agents around. You may see your Roomba, or you may see some artificial agent in restaurants while they bring dishes, and this is increasing. So first they started giving these agents some features that could also give some kind of nonverbal behavior and cues to the users, but now they are also making these agents mimicking other humans, because they realize that this mimicry is important. But if we don't know what it does and we put it on agents, it could backfire. The most popular view about mimicry for decades of research has been that mimicry is a social glue that help us trust each other, that help us cooperate more, help us like other people more. However, there has been now, I think, a growing amount of studies showing that this social glue effect is not necessarily there. And among them, you also have the studies of my own dissertation. So that brought me to propose kind of a different explanations. And our idea is that mimicry, by mimicking other people, we sort of recreate their own emotional state in our body. And that is independent of which emotion they are feeling. So mimicking a smile, it's different from mimicking a fearful expressions. So we believe that mimicry, instead of creating a social glue, may instead help us to understand each other better and predict each other's behavior. I think an example that I find really useful is the example of animals when they mimic a vigilance behavior. So you have a bunch of animals in the environment and they raise their ears and they look around. And when you mimic this kind of behavior, it is really useful because even if you didn't notice a threat, you can still react to it. So we see mimicry not as a social glue, but as a mean to predict others and therefore also the environment around us.